Hi guys, Mr. Shaw here. Just going through, this is how we're going to be doing a lot of the presentations, a lot of your classwork now. I'm going to go through and post these videos along with the presentations as we go through there. What you should have already done yesterday is you should have seen the COVID-19 video that I put up there, as well as a response classroom that you should do. Please make sure to get these done as soon as you can. That way you can get them graded, put them in there. I am going to be a little lenient on when the assignments get in, but the sooner they're in, easier I can get them graded, uploaded. Makes life easier for myself, and it's going to make life easier for you. That way, if we do come back to school at some point, you don't have a whole bunch of work to make up. Now, what we're going to be doing today, we're going to go into an introduction to biomedical engineering. So what you're going to do, I'm going to go through, I'm going to present some stuff to you. It should be pretty short, pretty sweet. And then I'm going to post up a video on Hugh Hare. Basically, he's a biomedical engineer, makes prosthetics over at MIT. He actually lost both of his legs in a mountain climbing accident on Mount Washington, I think when he was like 17 or 18. Pretty sure when he was in high school. But either way, he's come from that point and done a lot of stuff for the field itself. I think you guys really enjoy that video. And then there's going to be just like 2 questions on Google Classroom that you're going to answer afterwards. So really not that much to respond to it. Now, getting into it, if we're looking at biomedical engineering, what it is, we're integrating the medical world and engineering. We're trying to use engineering to build upon what we know and what we can do with medical devices. Now, focus on technology to solve these. So what you're going to notice is we have computer science, engineering, physics, chemistry, mathematics, biology, a lot of things that are going into biomedical engineering to try and understand what's going on there. When we're looking at it, it draws heavily on these engineering fields itself. So electrical because we got to power our devices. Our nervous system runs off electrical signals, so we have to understand what's going on there. Mechanical, because we have limbs that move. You have to understand how to move things through, especially when you're dealing with prosthetics. And then fluid dynamics. Our circulatory system, where our heart's going through, has a lot of fluids going through it. So we got to understand the motions of those, how they are affected by different devices being put in there. How do we make sure that if we're putting in an artificial heart, that it's dealing with the fluids in the way that our body is actually dealing with at that time? And lastly, materials, because if we have any weird interaction with biological tissues, it's going to reject that. Now you'll look right here on the screen, you'll see something, this is called a cochlear implant. I actually have a friend that has one of these. What it has is like a port in the side of the person's head, so this actually snaps to the side of their head. Implanted inside there is a little device that goes down into the cochlea of the ear. We'll talk a little bit about this later on when we deal with that, but basically this allows a person, if they have really, really bad hearing damage, to hear by basically bypassing the outer ear right here and going straight down into the areas that are going to be listening. So some pretty cool stuff that we're getting into. When we're looking at the scientific aspect of it, we got a few major fields. Biology makes sense because we're dealing with the functions of the human body. Chemistry, because we have a lot of chemicals, materials that we're dealing with, especially metals inside the body, which ones are actually going to react well, which ones won't, how do we make sure they don't rust. And then finally, medicine. We need medicine to make a lot of these devices work. If you take a look at, say, even heart transplants, lung transplants, we need medicine to work with these transplants in order to make sure that they are not going to get rejected by the body. Couple main technologies, prosthetics, so when we're replacing limbs, organ transplants, tissue transplants, observation tools, and also medical information systems. These are the types of technology that we're talking about. So let's dive a little bit into each one of these. So prosthetics, stuff like this, all right? We're losing a limb, and what we have to do is we have to try and replace it. Here we can see this person lost an arm, so what they did, hey, let's get an arm that's able to actually function and hold things up. And with these advances in technology, you're going to see some really, really cool stuff. A lot of people like this unit because you're going to see some state-of-the-art technology that's out there that, first off, helps people that are missing limbs, stuff like that, but also ways we can enhance how our own bodies actually even function right now. Organ transplants. So here's the fun one that everyone likes to see. We're growing an ear in a petri dish. All right. This isn't the only thing that's out there. You're going to see many multiple different things that we're going to go through when we get into this unit. But even the idea of, like, say, the artificial heart. And what you'll notice down here, if you haven't guessed already, this is actually the battery. So you actually have a battery outside that's helping your heart pump. If you don't have that, your heart stops working. Over here we can see this is a lung. So if you're missing a lung, you can have this artificial transplant put in there as well. Like I said, we'll get more into this later on. Tissue transplants. Let's say we have a bone that we're missing a piece of and we need to accidentally grow some stuff on there. We'll talk about the different methods of how you can actually grow tissue outside the body and provide what we call scaffolding to hold on to it. And you're going to see interesting stuff like this. Let's say that someone's missing an ear. This isn't really being used that much anymore, but this was one study that was done. This is actually a human ear growing on the side of a mouse. So basically what they did is they tried to reproduce the cartilage, which is kind of that, sticky stuff on the outside. It does not contain any of the innards of the ear that would actually understand like sound coming to it. So basically what happened is if someone was missing their entire earlobe, so it's completely not there, they'd take this, slice it off the mouse, put it in here, and that way the person has the earlobe that they can actually use to capture the sound coming into it. Instrumentation and observation tools. So anyone that's been into any sort of surgical environment, hopefully not you guys yet, but if you've ever had any relatives that have had knee surgery, they have seen one of these. It's called Da Vinci machine. What it is, basically these are all robotic arms right here. All right, and these robotic arms are controlled by the surgeon. Usually one of them has a video feed going in there. The other ones can actually control devices going into it. And so what happens is if you're having something like a knee surgery, it's less invasive because you only have to put in a few small holes into the body rather than just cutting open the entire leg. And lastly, the idea of medical information systems. You guys probably have been hearing a lot about this with what's been going on in the world right now. The idea of like telehealth commuting. So if you're not anywhere near your doctor, or if you're in a situation like right now where you can't really be near your doctor, using your computer, using different types of technology to connect to them. This also works for people that say like have medical devices implanted inside them. Say I had a pacemaker or some sort of observation tool that I had implanted inside my body. I could connect it up to, say, my computer at home, and then that computer would connect it off to my doctors, to my physicians, surgeons, so they can all understand what's going on there. All right, and last but not least, why we actually care about this. So you'll notice right here, the demand for biomedical engineers is high. Right now, that is pretty much towards the top of the list. We're having a growth rate of about 29% or faster in the field. Now you look, there's not as many jobs that you can see appearing here, but not as many people going into it as well. You'll notice a couple other ones right here: environmental, civil, nuclear. Woo, go nuclear. So it's very high field. And also, it's kind of relatively new. It's mainly been developed more than the past 40 years. And as we get new technology, it's been growing faster and faster and faster. You've probably already noticed some of the crazy stuff they're able to do out there. And the last thing I'm going to talk about before we cut you guys off, most biomedical engineers, they do start off as electrical or mechanical engineers or something within those fields. So electronics technicians, machinists, stuff like that. Those all deal a lot with the biomedical sense because most of our bodies have electrical and mechanical aspects to them. Civil engineers, environmental engineers, they're not doing as much because we don't actually have to put, say, concrete within the body itself. So that's it for today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post that Hugh Hair video. Watch it, enjoy it. I think you guys will enjoy it, and then just answer a couple questions on there. All right, peace.